first snow of December had only just started drifting down when Melissa Carter realized there was no way she'd be able to give her kids a real Christmas that year. She sat in her aging Honda outside the grocery store, forehead resting on the steering wheel, watching the flakes melt against the windshield. Inside the store, people pushed carts overflowing with holiday treats, gingerbread kits, peppermint bark, ham roasts wrapped in shiny foil. She'd come for just the basics: milk, bread, and a bag of apples. Even that would stretch what little she had left after paying rent late again. She told her kids they'd still have Christmas, just a quieter one. But kids aren't fooled as easily as adults hope. 8-year-old Emma had asked gently the night before, "Mom, should we put fewer things on the Christmas list so Santa doesn't get too tired?" And 10-year-old Caleb had offered to sell his baseball cards, the ones his dad gave him before he left for good. She told them no, of course, and hugged them a little too tightly. Melissa wiped her eyes and forced herself out of the car. Inside, she kept her head down, choosing generic brands, calculating prices in her head. At checkout, she realized the apples pushed her total $2 higher than she had. She felt heat rush to her cheeks as she handed them back to the cashier. "I'm sorry, I don't need these today." The cashier, a young woman with kind brown eyes, hesitated. "It's okay," she said softly, but the sympathy in her voice made Melissa's chest tighten. She grabbed her groceries quickly and hurried out before tears betrayed her again. 3 aisles away, a man in a thick green winter coat had watched the whole thing. He wasn't trying to eavesdrop. He had simply paused to read a label and caught the exchange in his peripheral vision. The slump of the woman's shoulders, the quiet apology, the way she rushed out, it lingered with him. His name was Tom Alvarez, a retired firefighter who'd been grocery shopping alone since his wife passed 5 years ago. December was still hard for him, but he'd made a promise to himself back then. Every Christmas, he'd find one small way to help someone who needed it. He put the apples back into his own cart before following his impulse and paying for them along with his groceries. Outside, he spotted the woman loading her bags into her car, trying to shield herself from the chilly wind. "Ma'am?" he called gently. She turned, startled. He held up the apples. "I think these belong with the rest of your groceries." She blinked, confused. "I saw what happened," he continued, stepping closer but keeping his tone soft. "I hope you don't mind, but I got them for you. Apples shouldn't be a luxury." Her eyes widened. "Oh no, I can't. It's just apples," he said with a small smile. "Let me do this, please." For a moment, she just stood there, fighting emotion. When she finally accepted the apples, her hands trembled. "Thank you," she whispered. "I've had a day. I've had a few of those myself," he said. "I'm Tom. Melissa." He didn't pry further, and she was grateful for that. They exchanged a short wave and parted ways. He didn't know it, but that tiny act stayed with Melissa all week like a warm ember she held onto whenever the cold reality of their situation crept in. On Christmas Eve morning, the Carters' apartment felt draftier than usual. The heater had been acting up for weeks, but the landlord kept saying he'd take a look soon, which usually meant never. The kids tried to stay cheerful. They cut snowflakes out of printer paper and taped them around the living room. They played Christmas songs on the small radio and sang along, a little off-key but full of spirit. Melissa watched them from the kitchen table, feeling both proud and heartbroken. Around noon, there was a knock on the door. "Mom, someone's here," Caleb shouted. Melissa wiped her hands on a dish towel and went to answer it. When she opened the door, a rush of cold air swept in, along with a familiar face. "Tom?" she said, surprised. He stood there holding a small box wrapped in brown paper and tied with string. Somehow, it didn't feel intrusive. His posture was humble, almost nervous. "I hope this isn't weird," he said. "I wasn't sure if I should come, but I volunteer at the community center downtown, and every year we put together holiday boxes for families. When I saw your situation the other day, well, your name came up on the list, and I thought if you'd be okay with it, I'd like to bring this by myself." She hesitated only a second before stepping aside. "Please, come in." The apartment was small, but warm with Christmas spirit. Despite the lack of decorations, Tom noticed the paper snowflakes and felt his heart tug. Emma peeked from behind the couch, whispering loudly, "Is he Santa?" Tom chuckled. "Not quite, but I do know a guy who works for him." The kids giggled, and something eased in Melissa's chest. Tom placed the box on the kitchen table. Inside were groceries, real groceries: a ham, green beans, mashed potato mix, canned cranberry sauce, pancake ingredients for breakfast. And beneath those, a few wrapped gifts labeled with each child's name. Melissa pressed a hand to her mouth. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. This is more than I ever expected." "You don't have to say anything," Tom said gently. "Just let your kids have a good Christmas. That's all the thanks I need." She blinked back tears. "Why? Why do this for us?" He looked down for a moment. "Because someone once did it for me," he said quietly. "My wife and I were young and struggling once too. One Christmas, we had nothing but ramen noodles and a borrowed tree. A stranger showed up with food and gifts. I promised myself I'd pay it forward every year I could." Silence settled between them, not uncomfortable, just full of understanding. "Would you like to stay for a cup of coffee?" she asked hesitantly. Tom smiled. "I'd love that." They sat at the table talking while the kids explored the gifts, their laughter filling the small space like music. Melissa learned that Tom had lived in the town his whole life, that he loved fishing and bad action movies, and that he missed his wife every day. Tom learned that Melissa worked part-time at a dentist's office, that she'd been juggling bills ever since her husband walked out, and that she was doing her best, even when it felt impossible. Before leaving, Tom fixed the faulty heater. Turns out he was pretty handy, and even tightened a wobbly cabinet door that had been annoying Melissa for months. "If you ever need anything small stuff, just let me know," he told her. "I'm around." "Thank you," she said again. "You've given us the best Christmas we could have hoped for." He put on his coat, nodded to the kids, and stepped back into the swirling snow. That Christmas Eve, the Carters ate a warm dinner together. The kids opened their presents: a Lego set for Caleb, a plush unicorn for Emma, and a board game they could all play together. Melissa felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: peace. When she tucked the kids in that night, Emma whispered, "Mom, I think today had a Christmas miracle." Melissa smiled, brushing hair from her daughter's forehead. "Yeah, sweetheart, I think it did." And somewhere across town, Tom sat in his quiet living room, sipping cocoa and staring at the snow outside. For the first time in 5 Christmases, the loneliness felt just a little lighter. Maybe miracles weren't always loud. Sometimes they were as simple as a box of groceries, a repaired heater, or the soft laughter of children in a stranger's home. Sometimes they were just one kind heart meeting another at exactly the right moment.